There is a common desire, I think, that all of us share, and it's a desire that really shapes our lives. We have wonderful experiences as a result of this desire. Sometimes we make discoveries as a result of this desire, and then sometimes we actually have regrets. Some of our life's greatest regrets are because of what this desire produces in us. Can you imagine what this desire is? It is the desire for more. I just want a little bit more. And that desire for more has caused us sometimes to step over the line to make a decision that we shouldn't have made. And it also has caused us sometimes to reach for something that we stretched for it, and we were able to achieve something that was really amazing because of that little desire for more. And advertisers and those in the marketing industry have realized this common desire among all of us. And so what's happened is they've created brand new categories that didn't really exist 50 years ago. And the categories are very familiar to us. They're the categories of upsizing. Hey, would you like to upsize that? Would you like to supersize that? I mean, you can go to the movie theater. For example, you can go to the movie theater and buy a little tiny bag of popcorn for $6. Or for just $1 more, you can buy a tub that you can jump into and eat your way out of. It's upsized just for $1 more. And not only that but you can take that tub back a second time and get it filled back up just for $1 more. Don't you want to upsize? And so we upsize. How many of you have ever upsized anything? Just go ahead, admit, yeah, right? Because somebody upsize, say, hey, do you want to do it? And so we upsize things. The other thing that our culture has really seized upon is this idea of upgrade. An upgrade. 30 years ago, we didn't talk about upgrades, but now we talk about upgrades. And you know what an upgrade is? An upgrade is when you have something that is in perfect working order, there's no problem with it, but you decide you want something newer, shinier. Oftentimes, it comes with a phone. The phone that you have works perfectly fine, but a new one came out, and so you go to the store and you upgrade, and you trade in, and we upgrade our homes, we upgrade our cars, we just upgrade everything because we want just a little bit more. We upsize, we upgrade because we have the desire for a little bit more. Now, all of us have the desire for more. It's not a bad desire at all, actually, and we're going to talk about the desire for more today. You may want more more money. You may want more time. You may want more for your kids. You may want more for your future or for your business or for your career, right? You may want more happiness. You may want more joy. You may want more peace. You may want more house. You may, there are a lot of things that you may want more of. You may want more influence. You may want more first round losses in the playoffs for the New England Patriots. You may want more of that. You may want, I don't know, maybe you don't. But if you do, then you should be satisfied right now, right? You should be satisfied. Now think back to the dreams that you had across your life. All of us have dreams, especially as kids. We have dreams as kids. Maybe we want to be a hero or to rescue something or to be, significant in some way. And so we have these superhero kinds of dreams as kids. But as we get older, those dreams kind of pass away. And then we hit this milestone in life called the teenage years. And when you become a teenager, especially around 14, 15, 16 years old, when you become a teenager, you receive the gift of being all-knowing, omniscient. You know everything. In fact, it's not just that you know everything, it's you know the problem with everything, and that you have decided that you one day will rule the world and fix everything, but you're going to start inside the home that you live and fix everything for everybody in that home. And then we move from our teenage years. Isn't that true? Yes, that's then we move from our teenage years to our young adult years. And in this young adult years, we are very optimistic. We're very idealistic. And really what we want is we want to make a difference. We want to make the world a better place, not just for us, but for those around us. And as we start to move down that path, what we find is life happens, doesn't it? Life happens. And things start to turn out a little differently than they once did. And what we find is sometimes when we're in those young adult years and we have all these dreams, sometimes even when we're young, we exceed our dreams. We find out that our dreams have been exceeded even at a young age. Sometimes at 30 years old, we said, you know what? I've accomplished everything with my career that I wanted to accomplish, in terms of income I've done it all. It's like a gentleman by the name of Tom at 24 years old. I kid you not, at 24 years old, he accomplished more than anybody thought he would be able to accomplish. He accomplished something that was just in his wildest dreams, because at 24 years old, Tom won his first Super Bowl. By the age of 27 years old, Tom won his third Super Bowl. And the question was asked, what's it feel like? And he's like, you know what? I thought it would be more satisfying. This is a thing that I wanted to, of my dreams, but what's next? I've won 3 Super Bowls. I've been the MVP of 2 Super Bowls. What's next? And everybody in America said, you should retire at 27. But no, Tom's desire for more led him to a 4th and a 5th and a 6th Super Bowl. And even now, he still is playing at the ripe old age of 87. Because he wants just a little bit more. So sometimes you exceed those dreams. You exceed those dreams. But other times, because of life, your dreams have been extinguished. You jump out of the gate in life as a young adult, and all of a sudden you feel like you just run, smack dab into the middle of a buzzsaw. And maybe you made some decisions that got you off track. Maybe some things happened that were not really a part of your decision. You didn't have responsibility for it, but it impacted you. Maybe you lost a loved one, or maybe something happened in some way that you just felt like, you know what? I'm never going to be able to recover. The dreams that I had, the things that I hoped for, are no longer possible for me. And yet, even when your dreams have been exceeded, you still want more. And when your dreams have been extinguished, you still want more. There's always something that we want more of. And I have good news. That desire for more is not a bad thing. In fact, we're going to find out it's something that God actually puts into us. I love the Apostle Paul. He wrote so much of our New Testament. He wrote letters to individuals and to groups of Christians in different cities. And he wrote a letter to the church that was in Ephesus, the ancient city of Ephesus. And in chapter 2, verse 10, he makes this statement that I really want you to understand. And I want to bring it to your attention today, when he says that we are God's handiwork. This word for handiwork could be translated masterpiece. For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. There's a reason. God has a purpose for your life. He's designed you, and He's crafted you, and He's made a masterpiece of you. Invaluable is what you are to Him. And He has a plan for you, and He has things for you to do. He's created us in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God has prepared in advance for us to do. He's thought about your future. He has a dream for your future. He has a plan for your future. You're His masterpiece. Your life has a purpose. And you may say, well, James, I ran into the buzzsaw. It's all over for me. And God would say, no, you don't understand. I knew about the buzzsaw. I knew about the buzzsaw. I still have things for you to do. I still have a purpose and a reason for your life. You're still valuable to me. You, even in the midst of your brokenness and hurt and all of those, you are valuable to me. You're my masterpiece. And we love that verse, and a lot of times we just kind of stop at that verse. But if you kept on reading, just a few verses later, in the next chapter, in verse 20, you would find Paul writing this. Now to Him who is able to do what? Immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. Now, to him who is able to do immeasurably more, you realize that the things that you want more of in life can be measured. They can either be measured objectively or subjectively. You want more happiness. You want more peace in your heart. You want, more peace in your family. And when you get that, when you feel your heart overflowing with joy, you can say, you know what? I've gotten the more that I want. It can be subjective, but it also can be objective. You may have some goals or some dreams that you want for your career or for your future or for your experiences. You may have a bucket list, right? And you can go down and objectively say, yep, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that, I've done that. But anything that you want more of can be measured. And Paul is saying, here's another category. Because God has some things for you that cannot be measured. They're beyond measurement. They're way more than you can possibly ask. You haven't even thought about asking the things that God has in store for you, or things that you can even fathom. And then just to kind of take some of this off the table so that you can key in on something that's really important, Paul's saying, don't miss this, Paul's saying now to him. In other words, what Paul is doing is he's inviting us to take our eyes off of ourselves, to take our eyes off of our own abilities, and to place them on something that's outside of us, namely God. Now to him who is able to think beyond your resources, to think beyond your abilities, to think beyond your power, to think beyond your connections and all those things, because God is limitless in all of those things. And so Paul is inviting us. He's inviting us. He's asking us, hey, I want you to think beyond yourself. I want you to think outside yourself. And specifically, I want you to turn your thoughts toward God, because he can do these things. Isn't it true that our ability to achieve limits our capacity to dream? That our ability to achieve something actually limits our capacity to dream. You've probably bumped into this in a project, maybe at school or at work, where they were trying to brainstorm some ideas about, what's possible. And it's hard sometimes to do that when you have a lid or where you have some restrictions. And then someone will say, if money were no object, how many of you wish money were no object? Yeah, well, money were no, if you're going to take those lids off of us, you're going to take those, if regulations weren't weren't in the way, if money were no object, if nothing stood in the way, what would we do? But so oftentimes we get stuck with the lid that's on us because there are restrictions and we don't think outside. And so our ability to achieve limits our capacity to dream beyond what we're currently dreaming. And this is why people abandon their dreams. They just think, well, it's just not possible. Can't be done. Because we're looking at our resources. We're looking at our abilities. We're looking at our connections. But Saul says, no, you have to look at him. Now to him, he goes on to say, to him who is able. This word able literally refers to someone who has the resources in and of themselves, the power and the resources in and of themselves to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And Paul is saying, you may not have the resources, but God does. You may not have the connections, but God does. You may not have, the wisdom, but God does. You have to look at God and you have to understand that God is absolutely 100% sufficient and powerful enough to do whatever he pleases to do. This isn't about your ability. It's not about your resources. It's not about your connections. It's about God. It's about a powerful creator who has a plan for your life, who loves you, who created you, who crafted you exactly the way that he's crafted you. And he says, I've got wonderful things in store for you. And you know what? It's not up to you. I just need you to trust in me. I need you to lean on my ability. I need you to lean on my power. I need you to lean on my resources. But what I want you to do is I want you to start asking. I want you to start dreaming again. Bottom line is simply this: more is possible because God is able. More is possible in your life, in my life, in your situation, in my situation, because God is able. Do you believe that? And here's how you know if you believe it or not. Let me ask you this. For what kinds of things do you pray? For what kinds of things do you pray? I mean, are your big prayers like, Lord, give us safe travel? And God's like, seriously? Obey the traffic laws, don't speed. You'll be good. You know? I mean, we have the God of the universe with all power. He birthed stars. He made he's made everything. He made it all possible. And we're praying itty little bitty prayers. And he's saying, you know what? Come to me with something big. But we limit because we think, I don't know. I don't know about God. Where's his ability come from? Let's look at the verse again. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to his power. This word, power, is the root word that we get our word dynamite from. Explosive, uncontained power. According to his power that is at work within us. We're actually going to unpack some other verses next week, and we're going to talk about how God's power actually works in us. But right now, we have to understand, you know what? There is a power that's outside of us, that's available to us. It's the same power that gave birth to the universe. It's the same power that raised Jesus from the dead. And God is saying, you don't understand. I am able, and more than you can possibly fathom is possible. You can't even measure what is possible. I mean, you try to measure what's possible for you, but you can't measure what's possible for me. That's what God has for you. That's what God has for me, but we put the lid on. You see, we doubt God's ability because a lot of times we kind of think about him as a 9-volt battery kind of God. Just a little 9-volt battery. And so we ask him for travel mercies and those kinds of things. And really what we have is we have this neutron star kind of God with power that's you can't even fathom this. And he's saying, I'm just telling you, all the power is there. And yet we're just thinking, I don't know, and God's saying, no, you underestimate, you grossly underestimate the power that's actually available to work in your life and through your life and on your behalf. Do you understand? Are you starting to get a picture of what this is? And we think, I don't know if I can do anything. I'm nobody special. Well, maybe not. Maybe you're not anybody special. But God is special. God's amazing. He's unique. The word holy means completely other than. That's what it means. It's like unlike anything else. And you plus the being who is unlike anything else, guess what that makes you? Pretty special. We're special because we are God's handiwork, his masterpiece, and he's saying my power is available to work in your life and through your life. That's what it's powerful for. So, here's some questions that I want to encourage you to start to wrestle with as we think about this. Number one is simply this: what are you measuring these days? What are you measuring in your life these days? Are you measuring anything? Because this is basically a question about your ability to achieve. This is the thing that you're saying, you know what? What can I achieve in my life? What is it that I can accomplish with my life? So what are you measuring? What are your goals? You say, well, James, I really don't have any goals. Why not? God has created you. He's crafted you. You are his masterpiece, and his power is available to you. And guess what? He has something for your life. He has works that he's prepared in advance. He's got a vision for you that just will blow your mind. And his vision for your life and for my life and for their life is different, but it's unique to us. It's unique to you. And it's there. It's there for you, for us. So what are you measuring these days? Here's another question. What dream have you abandoned? What dream have you abandoned? Maybe you've convinced yourself, you know what, I'm nobody. I don't have the connections. I don't know that I can make an impact. I don't know that I can make a real difference. I'm just going to kind of do my thing and go through life. What dream have you abandoned? I read about a young lady by the name of Addison Goss. 10 years old, lives in Flint, Michigan. When she was 10 years old, she met her grandfather for the first time. And when she met him, she found out that he had been homeless for many years. And then she learned about homelessness and realized the kind of struggles that people who are homeless endure. 10 years old. And Addison decided, you know what? I should do something about homelessness in my community. 10-year-old little girl. So she got her brother and her sister, and they devised a plan. And they basically put together these rescue packs, these what they called snuggle packs, kits, where they put warm socks and warm coverings, and they put snacks and some other things, and they went around, and this little 10-year-old girl got on social media and started to promote, hey, we're trying to do something for those who are homeless, who are less fortunate in our own community. And she was able, in the course of a short amount of time, to collect and put together thousands of snuggle packs. And every year it just kind of grew. A 10-year-old girl just decided, you know what, I should do something about this. Most people say, well, who am I to do anything? I don't have any resources. I don't have any contacts. I don't have any. But you forget who's behind you, who can help, who's the power, who's the connection behind you. I'm reminded of a preacher by the name of Ben. Ben led a church in California. He led a few churches, but one church in California where he'd been there for 40 years. And when he retired at age 75, the church had about 3,000 people in it. And he thought, boy, this is a lot, and it's time for me to retire. So he retired. He moved from Southern California in the LA area, and he moved to St. Louis. And he thought, what am I going to do in retirement? And so he decided, he went out and found a little country church of about 150 people. And he thought, you know what, in my retirement, this will be my retirement church, and I will just love these people, and I will just preach to these people, and I will just be their pastor. This 150 people member church. 10 years later, at 85 years old, Ben retired a second time. But there weren't 150 people in his church. There were 3,500 people in his church. And they weren't all old people. They were young people, young families. A lot of people say, you know what, I'm 75, what can I do? And Ben thought, well, I'll just do what I know to do, and God will cause the increase. If you met Ben, you would be unimpressed. I know Ben. I've met him. He's a great leader, but just to talk to him, you would think, I don't get it. I don't see it. Exactly. Because it wasn't about Ben. It was never about Ben. It was about the God whose power was at work through Ben. And if Ben were on this stage right now at almost 90 years old, he'd tell you that. It was never about me. It was always about God and his power at work in my life and through my life. So what dream have you abandoned? Here's the third question. Do you believe immeasurably more is possible for you? mean, maybe you say, oh yeah, immeasurably more. I believe that, but I'm not sure if I believe it for me. You see, we believe that immeasurably more is possible. We also believe that immeasurably more is, God can actually do that. What we have a hard time believing is that God is willing to do it in us and for us and through us. And so the questions that you need to wrestle with are just, what are you measuring in life? What dream have you abandoned because you've been thinking about your resources and your position and your, it's about you. What dream have you abandoned? And do you believe that immeasurably more is possible for you? So here's a prayer I want to invite you to begin praying this week. You can just pray it once a day. And the prayer simply goes like this: Father, help me look beyond what I can measure and to believe that immeasurably more is possible for me because of you. Father, help me look beyond what I can measure and believe, and to begin to believe that immeasurably more is possible for me because of you. God, help me to stop looking at my abilities and my skills and my resources and my contacts, and help me to look beyond what I can measure and to start to believe that immeasurably more is possible for me because of you. One day, you and I are going to stand before God. We are. We're going to stand before God, and there's going to be a revelation to us in that moment that will be breathtaking. And I think when we finally stand before God, we're actually going to see something that it was hard for us to see in this life, but we're going to actually see something. And what if you came, let me just put it this way, what if you came to the end of your life only to realize all that you were chasing after was minuscule compared to what your Heavenly Father wanted for you? That you realize, all the big dreams I had, they were just tiny compared to what God wanted for me and wanted through me. In that moment, you'd be like, but God, if I only knew. And he's like, didn't you listen to what I had Paul write for you? Like immeasurably more, I wasn't joking. Like the power that's, available to you. I wanted so much more for you. And here's the thing, I don't want to stand before God and say, you know what, man, you left a lot on the table, man. There's all kinds of things. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you. We have the power of God, the resources of God. You don't have to be a preacher or pastor or church. It just, like Addison, 10-year-old, just, you know what, I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to do the thing that's in my heart to do. Why can't you do that? Let God figure it out. Just follow him. Rely on him. It's his power, not yours. See, here's what I believe about you and about me. I don't think we have even begun to scratch the surface on what God is able to do in us and through us. Whatever it is that you've accomplished in life, and some of you have accomplished a lot, and you may think, no, I got this down. I'm just telling you, the God in heaven looks down and says, you have no idea. You have no idea the power, the resources that are available to you, because I, God would say, am able in and of myself. So, bottom line, really, more in your life is possible because God is able. He's able. And he wants you to know that. And he wants you to know you can have immeasurable because of me. Let me pray for you. Father, thank you that you are involved in our daily life. that you have crafted us and you have created us, and we are a masterpiece. We are priceless. And that you have designed us for a reason and for a purpose, that there are things that you desire for us in this life. Father, help us to take the lid off. Help us to stop looking at ourselves and looking at our own limitations, our own resources, our own connections, our own ingenuity, and start to rely on you. Start to look to you. Start to ask big, bold things. Start to imagine. Start to dream with no boundaries, with no limits on. And Father, just trust you to provide for those. Father, help us. And we are grateful that this is the kind of God that you are. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.